To Sharon, who I met a few years ago when we were both involved in the Centerville Relay. From the beginning, I was impressed with Sharon, her husband, and especially their daughter, Nikki. Nikki was diagnosed with a rare form of thyroid cancer at the age of 17, while a junior at Chantilly High School in April of 2010. I have personally witnessed this family respond to the diagnosis with courage, insight, faith, and positive action. Nikki and her family have come a long way. She's now 21 and just finished her junior year at James Madison University. And I actually wanted Nikki to come speak as well, but she's having fun in Belgium right now. So while we're here walking all night. Anyways, Sharon is here to share some thoughts regarding being a mom and caregiver of a child with cancer, and a little bit about their family's foundation, Bite Me Cancer. Here's Sharon.
Hi everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. Relay for Life holds a special place in the hearts of Nikki, my husband, and me, because this is where Bite Me Cancer started. As Marion said, Nikki is studying in Belgium, and actually today she's in Paris. She sent us some pictures last night, and so it's kind of surreal because today is actually the 4th anniversary of her big 9-hour cancer surgery. So she's certainly come a long way. Nikki showed us her positivity very quickly after diagnosis when, within a week, she was telling us she was going to lead a Relay for Life team. Next slide, please. Well, her dad and I were in shock, and my husband, her dad, is standing in the front of the line here with this little video camera right now. We were in shock with the diagnosis, so we kept telling her that no, we were not doing a Relay for Life, that year at least. But she kept begging us, and so one day she was actually sitting on the couch with her laptop saying, okay, I'm logging in right now to lead the team, I need your credit card so I can do this. We said, you don't even have a name yet. So over the course of the next few hours, she came up with the name Bite Me Cancer, because her dad was announcing he had the best name ever, and when he said it, she said, that stinks, bite me. And then we all looked at each other and said, gee, that's actually a great name for your team. So that's where that came from. At that time, she was getting ready for her surgery, and so we looked at the Relay for Life schedule, and the only one that we thought was even possible was Vienna, which was technically 8 weeks from then. So she put this team together, her Chantilly High School friends, her Young Life friends, our friends, and her team ended up raising $20,000 in 8 weeks. We were amazed that she was actually even able to stay overnight at that relay. Her surgery had been only 4 weeks prior. I'll talk a little bit about her surgery, but one of the things was that she lost the use of one of her vocal cords. So overnight at relay, I couldn't even imagine her being there and talking to anybody, but she did. Second slide, please. My experience with that surgery is the hardest thing that I've ever been through. We were prepared for a 3 or 4 hour surgery at Johns Hopkins. So after 3 hours, I was told to come talk to the surgeon, and I thought, oh wow, this is great, it's done. And we had 2 surgeons actually in there, and one came out and said, no, we're not done. We're actually amazed at how much cancer is in your daughter. So they were telling me it was on her trachea, it was in her shoulder muscle, on some nerves. And she asked me if I would let her remove one of the vocal cord nerves, which would damage her voice forever. And I just looked at the surgeon, like, what do you mean you're asking my permission to take out cancer? Of course, take out cancer, but do you mean like she's not going to be around in a while? And so, do I want to keep it or not? It was a really very shocking experience. So they went back in, they finished, it took 9 hours. And I remember telling the doctors, you're not telling Nicole any of this, what happened to her on the inside. We will tell her throughout the next week. I couldn't give her all this information at one time. So when we came home after the recovery that next week, my husband and I were thinking, you know, what do we do now? She's going to be a senior in high school. Do we even let her go away to college? Do we even think she could apply to college. Maybe she's not even going to be with us in a year. But she was so positive about her relay, and we have such a strong faith, we just thought, you know, we just have to keep going, do everything as we normally would. So, as part of that, she started saying, you know, I really want a foundation. Now that I've done relay, I had such great support, I want to do a foundation. And we said, no. So, she had to have a vocal cord surgery actually in another month and a half after that, and that's the only thing we could think of. After that surgery, her voice improved a little bit, and then she continued, I want a foundation. So that September we gave in. We started the Bite Me Cancer Foundation. So on top of that, she was filling out college applications, going to her Chantilly football games. She had to have 6 weeks of radiation on her neck, but she wanted this foundation, so we did it. Next slide, please. So then Nikki wanted to do another relay. This is where we met Marion. This was the Centerville / Clifton / Chantilly relay. And this actually is a photo with Delegate Ken Plum and Supervisor Michael Fry, because they gave her a joint resolution of the General Assembly in Richmond to honor her for her work with American Cancer Society and her foundation. So that was another surreal experience. When Mary and I started talking about that relay, I told her a story that it really impacted my life during this journey, and she asked me to share it with the volunteers that year, which I did, and that's the story I want to tell you now. So about 6 months before the diagnosis, next slide please, in the fall of 2009, I read a small editorial in the Washington Post, and this was the title, GPS Devices Commands Can Apply on the Road of Life Too. And I read how we should live our lives like a GPS. The author highlighted how much of our stress in life is really in the judgment we place on the experiences. I realized that a GPS simply states recalculating. It doesn't say whether something's good or bad, whether it's right or wrong, the direction you're taking. You're just recalculating. And I thought this was a wonderful way to live your life. I thought I would try to do it. However, I didn't really change anything at that time. So then over the New Year's holiday, that 2009-2010, I was doing my annual prayers to help me to think through what the guidepost word should be for the following year, and the word recalculating came back into my head, and I had totally forgotten about that article. And I just felt very strongly that that should be my word. I had no idea. I thought it was a cool word. I didn't really think what it was going to do to my life, but within 3-4 months, here we were sitting with the cancer diagnosis. And so I never could have imagined how that word would have changed my life. As many of you know, a diagnosis of cancer is a life-changing experience full of fear, shock, sadness, anger, and much more. But I couldn't help but keep coming back to that recalculating word to help me refocus on the reality of now, and not to compare it to anything else, no judgment. And I have found over these 4 years with Nikki that if I stop and think, oh gosh, I wish that she didn't have cancer, or I wish this or that, that's where my stress comes into play. If I just deal with what we're dealing with, life is much better. So there are still times I think about her and whether, I wish she didn't have cancer, I wish she didn't have to suffer and the worry with the scans, I wish she didn't have to deal with her own side effects. But I do this very little these days because I've realized that there really are no guarantees, and there's no guarantee that if she didn't have cancer, her life would be good or perfect. I remember the freshman year, after she talked us into letting her go away to James Madison University, she called that a young freshman girl from our area here had just been killed she had walked across campus at night and was crossing the street, and a school bus hit her. And I just thought, I felt so lucky at that moment that our daughter had cancer, in that it gave us this whole new perspective on our life, and that every day was a blessing, and there was just so much to be grateful for that I might have missed if we didn't deal with what we were dealing with. So she still has cancer. She's There aren't many treatments for her kind of cancer. She has scans coming up in July. Her labs are not looking great right now, but we've really gotten away from worrying about the scans. Every 6 months when she has them, and when we first started this, we used to think, what's going to happen, what's going to happen? We can't plan past 6 months, we've got to wait, we've got to wait. And every time her scans have come back stable. Now, a lot of that we believe is because of all the prayers, but we've just realized that you just have to keep going. I wanted to take a moment, Marion asked me to say this on behalf of what Nicole's going through, is that thyroid cancer is not the good cancer. That is a really common theme, and unfortunately many doctors still say that. It's a constant battle. The thyroid runs your body, so taking the thyroid out is a big loss to a person's body. There's so many side effects. You've got to deal with daily hormone medication. It can go very easily into the lymph nodes, and with Nikki as well as many others, it has spread beyond the lymph nodes. So Nikki has it on had it on her trachea, vocal cord nerve, other nerves, can go into the lungs, into the liver, into the bones. So it's really a serious cancer, and it's the fastest growing cancer right now. 5th slide, please. As far as Nikki is concerned, attitude is everything. And that's also the tagline for our foundation. We are so excited about the foundation's impact and achievements so far, and Nikki has huge goals for this foundation. Right now we have 2 major goals. One is to raise funds for thyroid cancer research, and the other is to help teenagers battling all cancers. Next slide. This is how much money we've raised so far for our 2nd thyroid cancer grant. Our first one will be delivered in the next 30 days, so we're really excited about that. Next slide, please. Thank you. When Nikki was diagnosed at 17, being a teenager with cancer is very difficult, and she received a few support bags, but they were really for little kids, and she felt bad that the energy and the time and the money was wasted kind of on her with those bags. And she felt very strongly that she wanted to help support teenagers. So she, along with other teenagers with cancer and oncology staffs, helped us come up with a bag where the items inside are very specific for teenagers. And we've had a lot of success with this. It's all free to the hospitals. We raise all the money. So far we've shipped out 500 teen support bags as of today. And the bags have so far been sent to 25 hospitals. The picture in the upper right corner is of Nikki giving a bag out to a teenager at Inova Fairfax Hospital. She was chosen as one of Leon Harris's heroes that summer, 2 summers ago, so they followed her over there. So here we are today. I never could have imagined how much positivity, how many opportunities, how many friends, how much inspiration, and how many achievements would be experienced by Nikki as well as her dad and I. Next slide, please. Just to have her studying abroad in Belgium right now is beyond our wildest dreams. Next slide. That's at the airport last Friday. So as Nikki's mom, I continue to recalculate, live in the now, and try not to place judgment on the experiences. I also try to be a role model for Nikki in that way, helping her not to judge a situation, but to just go through it. The way I live my life has been dramatically changed by the recalculating theme. I wish you all the best that life has to offer, and I hope that you remember to keep recalculating. Thank you very much.